Someone saying that their recovery is your responsibility is false. That's incorrect. It's cool to have support, but it's not essential. It's not. And if you've been through enough, you've been through enough. You know what that feels like. You know what that looks like. If you're holding on because you're afraid of what they may do to themselves or for what they may do just in general, like if I leave, they're just going to spiral downhill.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
No.
It's not your fault. I know it feels that way. Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
Today we're going to be discussing the topic of being held hostage in a relationship or feeling like you're being held hostage in a relationship. When it comes to addiction and recovery, people like me, addicts, can say some things at times that make you feel like you are absolutely trapped. Sometimes we'll threaten self-harm or suicide. Sometimes we'll say things like, I can't do this without you. I'm nothing without you. You're the only one that understands me. Or any number of things that will make you feel like you're essentially being held hostage. No matter what we do to harm you, to make you feel like without you, we are doomed. And it makes you feel responsible for someone's recovery. It's a pretty loaded topic. We're going to talk about some pretty heavy concepts. We're not big on trigger warnings, but I will say this is a heavy topic. We're talking about self-harm, suicide, things like that. So if you've been with us for a while, you know how we navigate these types of subjects. We are not crude or rude or any of those things. We will handle them with grace and dignity as best we can and respectfully. But I just wanted to make it clear. First things first, before we get into that, we've got a few announcements. First one, we've got a newsletter. If you're not already subscribed to Tufo's newsletter, head over to www.twfo.com and scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and enter your email address. You'll then get a confirmation email. Reply to that. I think you just click a button. That's all you have to do. And you will get that every Monday morning in your inbox. It's great to read over coffee. I promise you, I will not spam you. I will not send you bullcrap. I will not send you ads or anything like that. It's usually a message anywhere from a few paragraphs to sometimes I write like essays.
You do.
Just depends.
It's great.
Just depends
They're great.
on what I'm feeling that week. Sometimes I include funny things. Sometimes I include, music that I'm listening to that I think that you would like. It could be any number of things, but it's great. Anyone who's ever subscribed has told me they love it. It makes me feel great. And I think I'm doing it for myself, but also for you. So if you're not already subscribed to that, please come over there and check it out. Enter in and I will get it out to you. Next thing, we've got a community, if you're not aware, called TWFO Community, Tufo Community, which is on Facebook. You can find that by going to our website or by clicking the link in any of our social media profiles. You will find a shortcut there that will get you to the community. Answer a few short questions and come on in. There are over 3,000 other people in that community that are going through the same thing. They are listeners of the show or followers of us on various social media accounts. And y'all have one thing in common. You've got us in common and you've got this beast called addiction that's in your life. We don't just discuss addiction nonstop. There's also a lot of self-growth challenges that Paige gives people. There are free community calls that are in there bi-weekly. Twice a week, not bi-weekly, twice a week, every week that you can be part of at no cost to you. It's a great place to connect with other people that are going through similar things. And if you're not in there, what are you doing? Come on in. Next thing, if you're a listener to this show and you don't subscribe, please subscribe. You do us a massive favor by helping the show gain exposure, which means that more people get help when they're in need of help. The same place that you were at when you discovered it, there's someone else out there who doesn't know. And without the exposure of people leaving reviews and subscribing to the show, it's likely that we will never get found. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the show and leave us a quick review. It doesn't have to be long and articulate, just something. 5 stars if you love it, and just a short blurb about what you think about the show. Next thing, we've got merch. We restocked our In My Villain era tees. They are on our website, along with hats. We've got them in black and white. Paige is rocking one right now.
My white one.
Before we started the show, she's like, I gotta put a hat on because she thought her hair looked like crap.
I didn't fix my hair today.
You're having a hair crisis here lately, it seems like.
Who?
You.
Yeah, I'm going to cut it off.
A crisis of hair.
Yeah, I don't like my hair right now. It needs to be cut.
I think it looks great, but I'm all for cut. I like the changes. It's fun. Mm-hmm. It's always interesting. Anyway, black and white hats. If you're having a hair crisis yourself, or if you just want to rep Tufo, you can find a hat online.
They're so comfy.
We've also got recovery rocks up there. Now, recovery rocks, these are really cool. These are interesting. And we've actually shipped more of these than I ever imagined we would.
Yeah.
Which means that we've got a lot of couples that listen. And it also means we have a lot of people that are in recovery that are listening, which is amazing. Guys, if you're out there, huge props to you. Big love to you. Send me an email. I want to know who's listening. I want to know what you've learned about this movement, what you've learned about your spouse's journey, and what you've learned about yourself and how it's helped you in your recovery. I would love to get some feedback.
And your relationship.
Yeah.
Like, how is it helping you?
Yeah, we want to know. And so if you're a listener, please send me an email. It's Matt, M-A-T-T, at twofocouple.com. It's T-W-F-O couple.com. But our recovery rocks. So this is a token of appreciation. It is a way of saying, I see you, I hear you. I'm honoring your experience. I'm working on it. It's got our logo on the front, and on the back it says, thank you for being my rock. It's a really cool way to show appreciation for someone that's been there with you through hell and back, and they are still with you today. Really cool way to just show appreciation. Yeah. We've even got wheelies that are sending these to each other, which is really cool.
It's beautiful.
That's another amazing way to utilize that. Like, thank you for being my rock through our recovery.
Yes.
To your friends that are working through this with you, that are taking your phone calls at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, that are right there with you every step of the way along your healing journey. We've also got a course, independentlystrong.com, or by going to our website, tufo.com. Now, Independently Strong was something that Paige and I put together with the help of our partner, Dr. Christopher Taylor, who is a clinical architect. So it is our lived experience. In addition to that, you have the expertise of a licensed clinician that has worked through this very thing with patients over the course of his career. We cover concepts that are very familiar to many people, like codependency. We cover things that are not so common, like what is abuse, and not just physical abuse, but what does emotional, mental abuse look like? How do you identify those things? How to spot red flags? We have exercises. We've got tons of videos, worksheets, you name it. It is comprehensive. It is long, and you will get your money's worth.
Absolutely. And you can use the code Wheelies75 to get 75% off right now. And we're recognizing people making huge shifts and changes and growth within their lives, not just their relationship. Like, it's actually helping them live differently and doing what they want to do. It's beautiful.
If you've lost yourself by way of addiction and being part of it in a relationship with someone who's addicted, and you're trying to get yourself back, trying to get some semblance of self back, reestablish values, understand what healthy boundaries are, it's all covered in the course. And that's essentially what Paige just mentioned is what we're really trying to achieve. We're trying to give you yourself back. We're trying to show you that person that had that fire in them at one time, and then they're not gone. They're not gone. Those embers are just a bit muted right now, and we will help you bring flames back to your life. You can, as she mentioned, you can get 75% off using the code Wheelies75. That's Wheelies with an S, 75. Last bit of announcements. Paige has her own episodes every Friday, Paige's Perspective. They're amazing, inspirational, quick hits of needed energy on a Friday morning before you hit the weekend. And it's really not about addiction at all most of the time. It's just life stuff.
Just life.
These are valuable tools that she's sharing, that she has learned through her journey, and she's imparting them onto you. There are additional episodes, 15 minutes, quick hits. They're great every Friday morning, so don't miss those. I think that it concludes announcements. Do we have anything else?
You just look handsome today. You're dressed all fancy, and I'm over here in my scrubs.
What she means by that is I didn't change when I got home from work. I just came inside and started getting after it.
You just don't typically dress like this.
No, usually I'm wearing
either you're wearing a
t-shirt
t-shirt and shorts, but like during work, you don't really wear this either. Like you have a button-up collar shirt. You usually wear your like tight. What are they called?
I don't even know what you call those.
Oh, they start with an H.
I have no idea.
Dang it. Okay. Well, anyway.
Henley.
Yeah, it's that type of
like the buttons in the front.
Right.
3
right.
buttons.
They're kind of like that style.
Comfy, man. I'm all about comfort. That's what I'm after. I'm after comfort.
Yeah, but you make it all look good. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
You look very nice today, and your hair looks nice and all the things. So we can move on.
So on the topic of being held hostage in a relationship, this is something that I see a lot. Now, not just in the community. I see it a lot in the community, but I see this a lot just in the lives of people that I know. I know a lot of people in recovery, a lot of people working through this. And in working with TUFO, you come to know a lot of spouses. And this is a very common thread.
Okay, I have a question for you before we get into this.
Yeah.
You've been working with people in recovery for 11 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see this a lot from their perspective? Do they talk to you about this?
No.
Okay.
Never.
So you're seeing it from the spouse's perspective and
Yeah.
you recognize that, but it's very rarely discussed when you're working with people.
Yeah. No one really fesses up to saying things like this.
Okay, well that concerns me because I'm wondering how honest are they being within the recovery if they are not self-aware on how they are speaking to their partners.
So something I come to find is that when people are in recovery for quite some time and you really get to know them and they're really doing the inner work that it takes to heal, this stuff comes out later.
Okay.
People it's almost like an honesty curve.
Okay.
So in the beginning, there's honesty, but there's not real transparency, right? They're being honest about some things, but and I assume anytime I'm talking to someone in early recovery that they're withholding about half the story, if not more.
Okay.
But some honesty is better than no honesty, so I will work with that.
All
and if they continue the path, my experience has been that they get more and more and more honest, and then you'll be in a situation with them, 6 months later, and they'll start to talk about these types of situations.
Okay, so they do eventually get to this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do for sure. But there are a lot of other people go through this and never get to recovery, and this is just what someone's had to deal with.
Right.
So being held hostage in a relationship. So addiction can create a situation where one partner feels either emotionally or psychologically trapped by the addict's behaviors. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about what some of these behaviors are. We've kind of discussed them briefly in the open, but more importantly, I think that how these dynamics affect other people.
Okay.
And how we can empower people so they don't feel so stuck in relationships. Mm-hmm. And it's all going to start by, I think, a quick discussion and answering a pretty important question is, are we responsible if we don't support someone in their quote unquote recovery? So when I say that, recovery looks different for everybody. It does. And I agree with that. I think that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I believe that real recovery is always going to involve some degree of really searching deep down as to root causes. It's really going to you're going to work through a lot of traumas. You're going to work through your past. You're going to work through your responses to people and things and situations. You're going to explore selfishness and ego. And I think that all proper paths of recovery are going to talk about those things. Mm-hmm. But when we talk about recovery in quotes, kind of how I mentioned a moment ago, is that recovery is a process. Mm-hmm. And I guess if I look back on the 11 years that I've been, abstinent and in recovery, if I'm really honest about it, there were years probably prior to that led up to the moment that I finally decided to stop. And I would consider those learning experiences loosely recovery.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people in these types of situations can be in some stage of recovery, we'll call it, right? Some stage of it. Some stage of learning, I think, is probably a better characterization of what they're really going through.
Kind of like trial and error too, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. But oftentimes addicts, alcoholics are going to say something like, I can't do this without you, which is it's almost like a subtle threat in some ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you can't do this. What does this mean? You can't do this without me. Are you saying that your recovery depends on me?
Right. You're putting a lot on another person.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. And you might have heard them say things like, I need your support. Mm-hmm. I need your support through this. Now, while support is a great thing to have, it's not necessary from people that are closest to you. It's a great thing to have.
Right.
But it's not wholly necessary.
No.
And depending on what we've done to those people, I could say it's maybe even inappropriate to some degree.
To ask for it.
Something like that.
To ask for it. Yeah, right. For sure.
Right. And then some other people will go as far as to say, I will harm myself, I will kill myself if you leave me. If you leave me like this when I need you the most. They really, really butter up the guilt trip.
Yeah.
And say things like that. What I want people to know is that you are not responsible for someone else's recovery or their addiction. We understand, and everyone accepts wholesale. I think the world understands that you can't get someone else sober. You didn't cause it. Like what are the 3 C's?
Can't control it. You can't cure it. And
you didn't cause it.
Yeah.
Right. It's those 3 things. Mm-hmm. Okay. A lot of people understand that. Like, I didn't cause the addiction. You also, when it boils down to it, don't have a huge effect on their recovery. Now, it's a bit unfair to say because I had a lot of support from you in recovery.
Yeah, but I still think that if you didn't have support from me, you would still do what you needed to do.
That is absolutely true.
Because I knew that you were at your breaking point. You hit your rock bottom. You would have done anything to get sober and to recover and to change. And had I left you, I don't think that you would have pulled these cards on me. I don't think you would have said, like, I need your support. How could you do this? You would have probably been like, yeah, I probably fucking deserved that. And I'm going to do what I have to do to get better myself. Like, you didn't need my support, but it was very useful. I
believe it is true that you have to get sober for yourself.
Yeah.
And not until you want something selfishly for yourself will you actually do the necessary work to beat this thing,
Agreed.
to really go through this. So I want people to know that you're not responsible for someone else's addiction, nor are you responsible for
You're not
their
responsible
recovery.
for their mental health either. You're not responsible for whatever it is that they're going through.
Yeah.
You're not.
So while support from a loved one can be really beneficial, it's not. It's crucial. It's crucial to understand that you are not responsible for their actions or their choices.
Right.
So someone struggling with addiction is responsible for their own recovery. I am responsible for my own recovery.
Yes.
Your love was never going to be enough to get me through it.
No.
Ever. Because you loved me the entire time.
Yeah.
Now you can provide support, but you obviously cannot control my behavior, whether in active addiction or in recovery.
Right.
You can't make me recover and you can't make me stop either.
Yeah.
It all depends on me. So I want people to understand that, and that you can have healthy boundaries. You can have boundaries around what you will and will not tolerate. That you are not wholly responsible for someone else's recovery. And for someone to put that on you is one of the most disgusting things that you can do to somebody else.
Agreed.
It's a horrible thing to say.
It is not a nice thing.
Horrible thing to say. So to piggyback off of that, like, what are the chances that someone will get better if we stick around? Or what are the chances that someone will get better? Another way to put that is, what are the chances that someone will get better if we just give in?
And just tolerate and just let them and just stick around
That's
and allow it to happen?
What they're asking is...
Absolutely. They're just saying, I need you to be... They want their cake and eat it too.
I want you to be okay with this.
I want you to be okay with what I'm doing. I want you to be okay with my addiction.
I'll get ready.
And maybe one day I'll be better, or one day everything will be okay. But you need to stick around, and I can't do it without you. That's so toxic. Yeah,
and the chances of recovery vary, right? I've always said regardless of the statistics that are out there that are measurable, at the end of the day, you are a statistic of 1. I remember being in the room when they told us that 1 in 20 would make it out of there with a year sober, and looking around the room at the other 19 people thinking it sucks to be the rest of you. Yeah. I didn't care what it was going to take. And I also believed wholeheartedly that each and every person in that facility had an equal opportunity to get sober.
100%.
We were presented with a roadmap.
Yes.
Do these things, try this other stuff, do that. And chances are really good that you're going to get healthy. You're going to lead a useful, healthy life. You're going to recover. But we do know that without some kind of intervention or boundaries, substance abuse will generally continue. Mm-hmm. That is a fact. Without intervention of any kind, when I say intervention,
not
I mean,
like necessary,
not an
actual intervention,
like
just like natural consequences,
exactly,
and things like that.
Yeah.
If enabling versus support, that's a really interesting one too. Because if we continue to enable, then they're going to continue to keep doing what they're doing.
Yes. That is generally what we do. We find the path of least resistance. Mm-hmm. So if you just leave things alone because you don't like the threat that they've just subtly or not so subtly given you, it's likely to lead to continued use.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think there are any actual statistics out there that say when someone threatens suicide, what are the chances they actually turn around? Like, I've not found a study like that yet. But one thing I do know is that, like, while recovery rates vary, evidence suggests that recovery is more likely when people engage in a structured treatment program. Period.
Yeah.
They have a strong support system. That doesn't necessarily mean their wife or their whoever.
No, this is somebody,
or
people
husband.
who have been through it.
Right.
Other-
And they are personally motivated to change.
Yeah.
Personally motivated. Without those factors, the likelihood of recovery diminishes. And notice I didn't say sticking around because someone's threatened you. These are all individual characteristics that someone in recovery has to have.
Yeah.
They need to be working some sort of a structured treatment program, have a strong support system of other people that are working through this thing, and they have to be personally motivated to change.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the threats generally that, get them to where they want to be, get them sober.
Right.
So is it more harmful to stay or leave? I think that this is a question a lot of people ask themselves, and there's no clear answer. This is a deeply personal decision or choice that you will have to make. It depends on a multitude of factors, but I think at the forefront of those factors should be your safety, your mental health.
Exactly.
Because if you think about the impact of staying, like, I can't remember who said it. There was this guy who said, in life, we choose our regrets.
Mm-hmm.
We choose our regrets. Like in making decision A, we are foregoing what could have been B. When it comes to staying or leaving, the impact of staying, you know what that already looks like because you've
been doing it.
You likely have been living this life and you've been undergoing emotional and psychological tolls.
And you know that it progresses if nothing changes.
Right.
So it can only get worse if nothing changes.
Yeah. You also have the potential for enabling. We've talked about the effect on children and family systems. And you think about leaving, sometimes that's just self-preservation, right? It could be a potential wake-up call to people as well.
Yeah.
We've talked about, like when we had Steve and Christine on, we talked about her leaving is ultimately what got him serious about recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a wake-up call. It can also, I don't know. I think that we could go on and on about, should I stay? Should I go? We've talked about those things. I think that each and every person knows what that looks like for them.
Right.
Whether or not you decide to stay or go, I don't think it should ever be based on a threat that I can't do this without you, or I will harm myself if you leave.
Okay. So if somebody were to say, I'm going to harm myself, what can somebody do?
So I would call an emergency line.
Right.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Personally, I would call an emergency line.
Right. Because that means that you're exhausting all the options that you can to get this person help.
Yeah.
But it's not your job to save them, right? But you can still help them by getting them help that they need by calling a number, by saying, hey, this person is they may harm themselves.
They're threatening to harm themselves. I'm in fear for their safety. I think they may be a danger to themselves.
Right.
And they will send someone over.
Yes.
To take a look at this
situation.
situation.
I know that some people might fear doing that though, because there could be repercussions if they do call their bluff or whatnot.
For the person saying, why would you do that?
Uh-huh.
Oh, and the possible abuse that comes with that.
Yes. Yeah. Damned if you do and damned if you don't.
You're damned if you
scenario.
do, but I think you weigh the risks there.
I agree.
If you believe someone will actually harm themselves, it's worth making the call.
Absolutely.
It's worth making the call.
It needs to be done.
Yeah. That's tough. It's really tough.
It is
You're right.
tough.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But being held hostage in a relationship is what we're talking about here, and as it pertains to addiction. So as we're going to define it, it is a relationship where someone feels trapped or compelled to stay due to manipulative or controlling behaviors by their partner, which are often exacerbated by addiction.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen this more times than I can count in the community, where someone has threatened self-harm. Like I've lost count of the amount of times that someone has posted
so much
anonymously, like, I'm scared. He said that he would do this if I left. Or sometimes you just get the suspicion because they'll leave subtle hints, like not exactly say it,
right?
But leads you to make the assumption that did he just threaten to harm himself or someone else if I have to leave, if I take care of myself, if I have a boundary? Like, it's a scary thing to be faced with. And so if you're listening and you've been in that sort of situation, this is for you. This is for you. We're trying to bring some clarity to this, but I think being held hostage can also, and we'll get into it here in a bit, about it's not always just self-harm, right? It's not always just self-harm. Sometimes it's this manipulative tactic that people will use. Sometimes it involves finances.
Yeah.
Any number of things that people will use in order to keep you right where they want you, to preserve status quo. Yeah, it's controlling.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. It's controlling. So what are some of the tactics that people will use? Let's go through some of these.
Okay.
Read through. You're getting off way too easy.
Guilt and emotional manipulation. We talk about this all the time. It's when, they make you feel responsible for their well-being. It's like you're obligated to help your partner when that's. So we've talked about interdependent relationships and how we do depend on each other for certain things, but we also don't guilt and manipulate each other to get what we want.
No.
But that happens in these relationships all the time.
Right. Yeah, there's a difference between supporting somebody and then doing it for them.
Yeah.
And when someone is in a situation where they're addicted and they're helplessly addicted and they're saying that you are the X factor that is going to make it or break it for them, that is false. That is manipulative. And even if they actually believe it, it's not true.
Yeah. Like saying, if you loved me, you wouldn't abandon me now, or you're the only person who can save me from this.
Yeah.
Guys, I've been open and honest with my personal struggles with mental health, with depression and anxiety and panic disorder and all of these things where I felt, like I didn't want to be on this earth. You've felt those emotions before too. But did we ever guilt trip or manipulate each other in those situations?
No.
To say like, if you do this to me, if you continue to harm me this way, I'm going to harm myself, or this is up to you. You can save me. Like we didn't do that.
No.
We would have these feelings, but we still had that respect for each other in our relationship where we would not put it on the other person because we knew deep down it was our responsibility.
Yeah, this is the definition of a guilt trip.
Yeah.
That's what this is. This is, and here's what it does. It makes you internalize the addicted person's struggles.
As their fault. Yeah.
This is up to me to fix. This is my responsibility.
It's not okay.
And in some ways, it's them saying, you are capable of fixing this. Mm-hmm. And then another way, it's them saying, in some manipulative way, that I know that you can't fix this, but I'm going to say that you can to keep you on the hook. To keep you on the hook, to keep you here, to keep this situation the way it is.
Right.
And like, I don't think that every addict has these, I don't know, that's kind of like Machiavellianism. That's like, that's sort of like evil. We were talking about the dark triad of personalities, which we got to cover at some point.
Yeah.
But like that conniving type of personality that like can see the next couple plays in their game or whatever. But sometimes people will do that. Like, I think that oftentimes like addicts get mistaken for like these super geniuses that know what they're doing. And that's not always true.
No, I think that they might feel this way.
I don't doubt that they feel this way. I have felt this way.
Right. But you should still think before you speak, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the biggest things that I was raised with is that you might feel a certain way, but you need to think before you speak because it may not be true. Like I could have thought this, like if you loved me, this wouldn't be happening. Just like we say, if you love me, you wouldn't be an addict or whatnot. But that's not reality. That's not how it works. These are just thoughts that we have, but you don't act on them. Right? Yeah.
And I don't want to diminish any one person, but I'll speak in the generalities here when it comes to addicts, because I am one myself. I have done some of these things to some degree, varying degrees of these things, or maybe not these exact things, but forms of them. Right. I think that when I'm encountered with someone who's in addiction and they say things like this, I almost take it at face value like I would if it was coming from a child.
Right.
Like, I'm not taking you really seriously.
I'm not taking
right
you
now.
seriously.
Like, that's the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. And I'm not taking you seriously.
That's important. That's important.
It is. Like, I don't think you should take these things seriously, even though they look like a grown person and they're before you, saying these things. Like, understand, like, this is a very emotionally immature person saying these things.
Right.
Like, would it change your mind if this was a 11-year-old saying these things?
Right.
Yeah, it would.
It would.
You'd be like, this is just a stupid kid.
Well, no, I mean, you would still get them help.
Well, you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean? Like, you would understand that where this is coming from is a place of like not understanding their own emotions, their responsibility and their own healing, and all the things that adults tend to understand. Like, we're not as smart as you guys think.
No, you're like children.
Yes, we're like children. No, you really do.
You have childlike brains. It's arrested development. And that's what happens.
Right. And like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like your therapist, when discussing narcissism, told you essentially it's how you have to treat narcissists too, 100%. Right? You treat them like children because they are in many ways.
I made a comment about how it was like speaking to a child, and she said, well, would it be easier for you to handle the situations by speaking, like thinking that they are a child? And I was like, oh, that actually hit. And that made sense because it really is like a childlike brain.
It is. Yeah. The way that these emotions develop, I can speak from firsthand experience. It feels very childlike in my mind.
It's emotionally immaturity.
It's purely emotional driven. It's just, it's driven by emotion.
Yeah.
Like when a kid throws a tantrum, it's just pure emotion.
There's no logic
or reason or rationalization or real cognitive processes. It's just pure like midbrain emotions taking over.
Right. But like I said earlier, they still might feel that way, but it doesn't make it real because that's how they're feeling.
Right. They're just
But they're just
people,
trying to control
and it comes from
the
an adult,
situation.
so you're feeling like, oh my God, like I feel responsible for this. I need to fix this.
I need to fix this, or I have compassion, or I'm so sorry you feel this way. What can I do to help you? I need to fix this. When in reality, we can't do that. It's not our responsibility. We can exhaust all of our options by getting them help or finding help, but that's it. It's ultimately up to them to make the decision to do the work.
Yeah. So if someone's saying things like this to you and it helps you to understand that this is coming from obviously a sick person, someone who's struggling, someone who actually may be a danger to themselves, there are emergency helplines that can get you help there. But also understand that sometimes people are saying this, I would say oftentimes, coming from an addicted person, that this is coming from a very immature mind. It's coming from someone who doesn't understand the world like you understand the world.
Right.
I was so far behind when I was in active addiction. Like it's just, you stop developing in so many ways emotionally. So when you blow up, it's just like these tantrums.
Yeah.
And you'll say shit that you know is going to get a reaction.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the next one is going to be the financial control, which is what we talked about earlier.
This is another way someone can hold you hostage.
Yeah. And it involves the addict controlling money or resources to create dependency and limit your ability to leave.
Yeah. And this isn't always intentional. Sometimes this is just the way that your family is set up. This is the agreement that you have in your marriage, that maybe there's a breadwinner and then there's the homemaker, and you have someone who works, and then oftentimes it's the male who will work, and not always though. Like I think we talked about this. I think 40% of households in the United States, women are breadwinners now. Right. But a lot of times it's the man who's the addict and the man who's also holding all the cards as far as finances go. Yeah. And so you may or may not have access to those accounts. Yeah. You may not know what's going on in those accounts. They may very well be doing this like sort of purposely, understanding that you really can't go anywhere. Yeah. And if you don't think that's true, just wait until you do try to leave and they throw it in your face. Yeah. Because I've seen that happen more times than I can count too.
For sure.
Where it's, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? You have nothing. You know, it's like, oh, God, man, holding you hostage once again. So if
the financial control really pisses me off.
We had an episode on finances one time. So I actually graduated with a degree in finance, but I was the world's worst financier.
When you were in active addiction,
the worst. I couldn't spell budget, much less follow one. And you were responsible for our finances. Yes. I was spending all of my money that I made at work plus your money that you made at work. Yeah. I had no money ever. And I was in some way holding you hostage, because if you wanted to go somewhere, you couldn't without asking for help from someone, which is, I can speak for you, I think, here, saying it would have been humiliating to have to do. Yeah. And that's a barrier to do it. Right. And I wasn't necessarily doing it intentionally, but like I kind of knew that we were in this together, and like we had the account, and it was what it was, you know?
You didn't think there were going to be any consequences.
What do you mean?
To the way that you were spending money.
Yeah. Like I just didn't really process those things fully. I didn't. It was like, we're able to get by, and like,
I know. I mean, I was almost at a point where I was going to open my own account. You know, that's what I was thinking about, but still, that was just.
Yeah. But this can lead to long-term financial instability for you, and it can cause you to stay in a relationship due to the fear of financial ruin. Either you are responsible for those finances because you're having to watch someone so hard that you feel responsible for every dollar. And if you don't watch for 1 second, then you know that the family's going to implode. Or it could be that someone's withholding access to funds as well. And then kind of back to the threats of harm or suicide. So there's been research that shows that threats of self-harm are common in abusive relationships. Yes. And it creates a high level of emotional distress for the partner. So you feel trapped out of fear for the addict's life. If you leave, I'll kill myself. People have said those words to other people. what kind of pressure is that put on someone?
It's awful. It's awful.
Even knowing how toxic this situation is, you don't want to see anyone lose their life. You know that underneath there's a good person that has a chance at living. But this is not okay.
No.
This is not okay. And you are not a monster if you reach out to the authorities for help here.
Right.
You are not a monster if you walk away from this type of situation. Like Paige has said, and other people have said who've been here before, call their bluff.
Yeah.
And I don't mean call their bluff by do nothing. I mean call their bluff by get people involved and make them get help.
Exactly.
Make them get help. Let someone know what they just threatened to do. This is not okay. You cannot threaten your life in exchange for you continuing to let me abuse this situation.
Yeah.
That is manipulation at its finest, or worst, whichever way you want to look at it. It's awful.
It's just, I just can't imagine being in that situation. It's got to be so scary. It's got to be so scary to feel that. Like you literally feel like you're held hostage. It's insane. We shouldn't be feeling this way in our relationships.
No. And I've felt like this about someone in my life before, but they've never outright said it. But you could almost sense it, you know? So sometimes they don't even have to say the words, but you sense that, like, I don't think that they would be able to go on without the thought of doing something like this.
Yeah.
Even in those cases, I would suggest that you reach out to your support network for help and advice on what to do here. Everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different, but surely someone's going to have an idea about what to do. And let you know that you are not responsible for this. This is not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay for someone to do this to you. It's not okay for someone to threaten harm or insinuate harm or leave that ambiguous in any way. If you just stick around, if you just tolerate this longer, this is someone's life we're talking about. I understand, like you don't want to take it lightly, and I don't think you should. I don't think you should just say, "No, screw it," then just do it then, or something sick like that. But take it seriously, but also hold them accountable for what they just threatened.
Exactly.
Because this is serious.
Right.
This is freaking dead serious.
Yeah, it is.
You can also manipulate someone through the potential of recovery.
Ooh, this one's interesting.
Many people find themselves in this situation where addicts will use the promise of recovery to keep their partner hopeful and emotionally invested in the relationship. Now, I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt, including addicts, because people will say, like, I want to recover. I will do better. And in those moments when they're saying it, they mean every word of it. Mm-hmm. But what happens the next morning is what really sets apart the people that are serious and those that are not.
Yes.
Because there are moments when you can have these lucid moments, like these moments of clarity, as they're often referred to. And you're like, I know what I have to do and I'm ready to do it. And then you wake up the next morning, you start having cravings, and suddenly you're like, nah, I'm not going to do it today.
Start
Whatever.
lying to yourself again.
Right. But you might say something like people will say something like, I'll start rehab next week, or I'll start going to meetings, or just give me one more chance, or like, this is the last time. And how many times have you been there before?
Yeah.
And once again, studies indicate without a proper treatment and a proper and consistent treatment program, the likelihood of sustained recovery is low. And especially with people who have multiple relapses.
Yeah, and this traps you in a cycle of hope and disappointment.
It does.
Like,
and so many people
it's
are trapped in that hope cycle right now.
Yeah, they are.
I think it's probably where the majority of our listeners are at, where they're trapped in that hope cycle, where they've seen flashes of, someone who's really trying to do well, but they're just not being serious about it. And so at some point you have to wonder, like, man, are they just saying this to say this now?
Now, when you recognize that pattern, it's really difficult to not recognize it again. Like when you figure it out, you're like, okay, now I know that there's a pattern and I'm going to have to change something now.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do something about this.
Right.
Something has to change. Something has to give.
Yeah. And that just keeps you stuck longer in the waiting for the promise of recovery.
Yeah. Isolation is another tactic that people can use. And this can happen in a multitude of ways. It's not always intentional. Sometimes it is very selfish in the way it presents itself. But isolation is when you get cut off from your support system. So your friends, family, support networks, and it increases the partner's dependence upon the addict.
Yeah.
And this happens all the time. We've had more people than I can count be like, I've lost friends, I've lost family. And it's partly due to the fact that you have this loyalty to this person and this relationship, and you're willing to give them a chance. And as a result, your friends and family are tired of telling you, stop,
Right.
Like quit doing this thing. I'm sick of seeing you hurting, or they're tired of hearing you come
They
to
have
them.
boundaries that they put up.
They're tired of hearing you come to them and essentially complain about this over and
nothing
over
changes.
and over and
Right.
over, and you change nothing. At some point, they have to protect themselves and detach from the insanity of this. And as a result, you get cut off from your support system.
Yeah.
Now, there are some people that, like I've known addicts anyway, that cannot stand the healthy people around the partner. Like
Right.
the people that challenge their authority, or the people that challenge their
Challenge
decisions, or just challenge
Yeah.
them in general.
In general, yeah.
And they sort of excommunicate them. Like they make a big deal whenever you go see those people, and it becomes a fight. Then it becomes not worth it to even mess with it. So you just stop talking to those people.
Yeah.
You sort of give in because it's not worth the argument. It's not worth the fight. You know, you don't see your mother every day. You have to live with your partner. So at some point people will make the choice. I'm just going to avoid the fight, just so I can have peace in my home for a day. And then eventually a day becomes a week becomes a month. And before you know it, you haven't talked to people. And some people design it that way.
Yeah.
They do. A lot of times it's just a natural progression of addiction and the selfishness that comes with it. But it does hold you hostage. Kind of back to this thing. This will hold you hostage. A lot of times they'll discourage you from spending time with friends or family, and they'll say like they don't understand like what we're going through. They don't understand us. You know, they don't understand what we want. They always try to make it like a we thing.
Yeah.
When it's really just a them thing.
Right.
And that's you will feel like you're being held hostage. But when you get cut off from the healthy people in your life, you also lose access to the light that comes with having healthy people in your life.
Right.
You just get stuck in the
solid.
insanity of addiction.
Yeah.
You have an increased reliance now on this addicted person that is not stable.
Yes.
And it just perpetuates the cycle. It's like this, it's just a downward spiral now.
Yep.
Okay, so walk us through consequences. So we talked about some of these things, right? And some people may have some of these or been through some of these, but like, what's it really going to affect?
Okay, so trauma bonding. We've talked about trauma bonding. I think we had an episode on trauma bonding.
I think we did too.
A long time ago. It's in our course too. We have a module on trauma bonding. And it's when a person forms a deep emotional connection with their abuser. And it's due to cycles of abuse and reconciliation. So you're always, it's like this toxic cycle. I discussed this in our course too, on how the bond makes it difficult for the partner to leave the relationship even when it's harmful.
Yeah.
Because there's this up and down. It's this cycle that just continues over and over again. It's a pattern that you don't recognize necessarily yet too. But if you were able to reflect and dig deeper into it, you can realize, oh wow, this is a pattern. This is a cycle.
It almost feels like trauma addiction in some way.
It kind of does.
The highs feel so good. And when the lows happen, you just try to get back to the highs, but without realizing it, there's this pattern, this trauma bond that has formed that is just this perpetual cycle of blow up, makeup, over and over and over. And you know it's harming you, but you can't quite get out. Right. Yeah. And
research on trauma bonding and PTSD, so there's a lot of PTSD that can go on in these relationships. In the abusive relationships, it indicates that prolonged exposure to manipulation and abuse can lead to complex PTSD.
CPTSD?
And yes, which is CPTSD. We've talked about that a little bit. We haven't really gotten into it too much. But you can have symptoms of anxiety, depression, and hypervigilance.
Yeah, where you're just always on guard, always aware.
It's going to be like a
relax.
Fight or flight type mode.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of us have that. A lot of us. I mean, I went through that.
Right. And so there are emotional and psychological impacts. You will feel this overwhelming sense of loyalty to someone, even when you know it's damaging your mental health. And you're going to have trouble trusting other people. You're going to feel worthless. You're going to be in this constant fear of anxiety, that fight or flight that you talked about.
Right.
This is not a good place to be. And this is where many people report feeling just lost and confused and not sure what to do. And they will explain what's going on. And if you write it out, you can look and see this is a trauma bond. This is exactly what you're in.
Yeah.
And this perpetuates it. This hostage holding perpetuates things. It makes things like, it's like fertilizer for a trauma bond.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Another way it can impact you is your daily life and decision making. So there can be chronic stress indecision, and the loss of autonomy. We talked about loss of autonomy before. It's also loss of identity as well. But whenever you become isolated, you don't really have that autonomy to where you can be who you want to be. You're losing your identity too. You're not able to be who you're meant to be because of being stuck in this cycle.
Yeah.
Like you might have problems figuring out what you want to wear during the day, or because you're scared of how your partner's going to react towards you. Like that's not healthy, guys. That's not healthy. This is going to break down your confidence and your independence. And over time, you're going to lose your identity, and then you can become more enmeshed in the addict's world.
Scary place to be.
It's so scary.
Yeah. And you're less able to advocate for your own needs and desires at that point.
Yes.
When you're in it, then it's hard to get out.
It is, and it's
really
hard to
to
speak
get
up
out.
for yourself because you're afraid of how it's going to be turned, what's going to be said. How are you're going to fear saying anything in your relationship because of past patterns, what you've recognized, and how you've been held hostage by the way that the addict may say, I'm going to hurt myself if you do this. Like that affects us.
Yeah.
That's going to cause issues within our self.
Yep. Next one is damage to trust and relationships, just as a whole in general. It damages trust and your relationships. Constant manipulation, lies, broken promises will erode your trust over time, your ability to trust someone else, and will make it incredibly difficult for you to trust not just the addict in your life, but other people or future relationships.
I have experience here. I've had issues trusting other people due to things that have happened in our past. Just friends, family members, a lot of people. It really does erode your trust towards other people, and it takes time to rebuild that and to understand that you can trust some people. It's not all or nothing, obviously, but if you're having these issues in your most intimate partnership or your most intimate relationship, how can you trust those that are just, not intimate, but still family and friends,
right?
Close people within your circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about the damage and the ripple effects from that in every relationship that you have. Mm-hmm. So I spend a lot of time on the female side of TikTok because we share an account and an algorithm.
Yes.
And there's a large cohort of women that just, like, there's this movement called women going their own way. Have you heard of this?
No.
There's even a subreddit. There's another variation that men have called men going their own way.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a poor job describing this and doing it, paying real respect to what these people are trying to do. But they've essentially been in a relationship or in a situation enough times, and they've been treated a certain way enough times where they have completely given up on the opposite sex.
Okay.
Like women have just completely given up on men. Like they are willing to go their own way.
Their trust has been completely broken.
Right. And men, women both have these, these movements where you've been hurt to some degree by somebody, and you've now characterized everyone of that sex as being like that, or dangerous like that, or set up and wired like that. I'm not saying it's not valid for them to feel that way, but it's not true. It's just not true. Like not everyone is that person that hurts you, but it just goes to show how someone hurting you can paint your entire world a different color. Yes.
And from what you're explaining, I think that they are in the cynical phase. It sounds like.
Yeah, many of them are. Like, oh man. So I was curious about this. I mean, like truly curious about what was going on in these types of groups. So I joined one or two of them. So one from each side. I joined a group for women going their own way and for men going their own way to see like what was going on. Like what were the dynamics of their relationships like that led them to these places. Some of them are just doing it for reasons that they just believe like, listen, like I've been in, 10 different relationships and they all kind of ended up the same. And this is what I want in life. And they just have, they have a certain highway they want to take in life and they just couldn't find a partner. So they're willing to walk that path alone. Okay. And sometimes it's really, really empowering.
Absolutely.
Like
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I'm going to start a career. I'm going to do my own thing. But there are also, like you mentioned, like there are the cynics there that are like, F all men, that guy's toxic. And it's not always the case, but they're characterizing people and like, painting this entire group of people this color because that was their experience. Okay. And men are just as bad. Like there are men out there that are like awful about this, where every woman is crazy. They're a psycho. They're cheaters. That's not true.
No.
But they've been harmed to an extent where that's what they believe they need to do. And it's not worth the trouble of trying to find a mate, because it's more trouble than it's worth. And it always ends up the same. It's like they speak in these absolutes.
Okay.
So I think that some people use it as an empowering way, but I think a lot of other people, like you mentioned, like there's this cynical phase. And so, but I think about what happened in their life that got them here. And I have to think that maybe it wasn't exactly what we're discussing right now when it comes to
gonna be similar.
Being held hostage to some degree, but it was definitely a toxic dynamic in a relationship that led to this.
Right.
And I guarantee you that there was some damage to their trust in some way. Something happened at some point that made them believe, I can't trust anybody anymore.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
That one person has ruined everyone that man or that woman could have interacted with in the future.
Right.
And you think about like, what's your role and responsibility in getting out of those situations so that doesn't happen to you or your children or anyone else that you come into contact with?
Well, and we've talked about this like with our Independently Strong course, is that we help people identify all of the red flags and how not to put themselves in that position again, or not put themselves in that position. But if they are in that position, what do they do?
Yeah.
Right. Because you obviously don't put yourself in that position. That's a little ridiculous. But how you become empowered to not, have to go down that road again.
Yep.
So we help you gain the wisdom. Like you'll get being cynical partly, and then you gain the wisdom to where you can learn to trust other people.
Yeah.
But you're going to go down your own path, and then go from there and try not to get into the same situation you were in before.
Right. But some people, it just leads to this isolation and this difficulty in ever forming another healthy relationship in the future.
Are they happy? Like, I mean, are there people in there that, like you said, it can be an empowering thing? Because I know, like, I think that we were listening to a podcast recently about a non-traditional relationship that this woman was in. And I thought it was beautiful.
They were so happy.
I thought it was amazing what she had been through, because she just changed her perception on what things should be. Normal is. And she was happy just going with the flow of what she really wanted. So I'm thinking, like, with that group, what you're talking about, are there people in there that are similar to that, to where they just kind of are empowered and they're happy with their decisions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. There are people in there that are like, this is just like, listen, like the whole idea of like these, like the nuclear family never made sense to me. I've never been great in relationships. I'm tired of trying. This is what I want to do in my life, and I'm going to do what I want to do in my life. And they're extremely happy. Okay. Just living their own way.
Oh, I think that's beautiful.
But there are many more, I would say, that have shades of cynicism or just anger. And
that sucks, because maybe they do want love at some point, in a way that they can trust somebody. But if you have no trust with anybody, then that's going to impact your mental health in the future.
Yeah. I mean,
I know we got off track here, but I thought that was an interesting.
Yeah. You'll carry emotional scars into every relationship if you've been harmed bad enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Just facts.
Yep.
Okay, so talking about children and family dynamics. So this will impact children. We've talked about the impact of what these types of environments can have on children. But children will develop anxiety.
They may develop behavioral issues.
Skewed perceptions of what a relationship is.
We've seen that many times.
We've talked about this. Like part of my recovery personally was I wanted to give my kids a healthy idea of what a partner looked like, of what a man in a marriage should look like.
Right.
And not in like the Judeo-Christian, like fundamental value of a marriage, but I mean just showing up as a person that listens, that validates, that understands, that respects.
Equal partnership.
Exactly. That's the kind of things I wanted to show my kids. And that is taken from you when you're in the situation with someone who is holding you hostage. When you're showing them, like, I forget the exact quote, but it's like you condone what you tolerate.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to tolerate this, you're also in some ways condoning it, not just to yourself and to the person that's harming you, but to everyone else watching. Yeah. And who's watching that's most important is children. Mm-hmm. They're seeing this and they don't know any different. They're like, this is just what normal was like in my house. Yeah. And like you could, certainly everyone's run into someone who had a really rough childhood, and you can ask them about it and they'll be like, it was just normal in our house. That's just what normal was I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
I thought it was normal to have a house that looked like that, or fights that looked like that, or things that get thrown like that, or things that were said like that. It was just normal.
Yeah.
You know, you can normalize those things, and children pick up on that kind of stuff. They might
Right.
start acting out at school. They can have all kinds of behavioral issues. You name it. Kids will pick up on this kind of stuff, and it can affect them and their ability to form healthy relationships one day in the future as well.
Right.
Higher likelihood in engaging in substance abuse themselves, possibly, or being in toxic relationships or abusive
Right.
relationships.
Yes.
You know, stuff runs downhill. It runs downhill. So let's talk about recognizing the signs and seeking help. Let's talk about identifying red flags. So some of the red flags because it's not always exactly apparent. They won't just say, if you leave, I will hurt myself.
Right.
They don't always say that.
No.
Sometimes it's insinuated. Sometimes you just know it, even if they haven't said it.
Yeah.
So here's some of the red
energy,
flags.
man.
So persistent feelings of guilt or responsibility for the addict's actions. If you find yourself persistently feeling guilty for the things that they are experiencing as a result of their use, or guilty for holding a boundary, or responsible for their actions like they are your child or something, that's a sign that you very well could be in a situation where you're actually a hostage. You may not even realize it.
Yeah.
Another one, the financial dependence piece that we talked about. So whether this is just financial dependence or if it's deliberate sabotage of financial independence, that could possibly be a sign. Some people will just come out and make frequent threats of self-harm or suicide to manipulate your behavior.
Yes.
If you don't, I will X, whatever that may be. If there's repeated broken promises of recovery followed by a relapse, consider for a moment that this could be what's holding you hostage, that this potential,
The hope.
the P word, we've talked about this. Yeah, hope and potential are beautiful things, but they are also some of the most dangerous things in any relationship, not just an addicted one, any
Right.
relationship.
Right.
Hope and potential, right? I'm a sports fan, and if you're not, bear with me for a moment. But in the NFL, for instance, football, National Football League, or in Major League Baseball, they go and they find what are called prospects, generally like high school or college kids that have the makings of being great one day. There are thousands and thousands of kids that are reviewed every single year. Every single year. And the smartest of the smart people evaluate them, and they will sit across the table from their parents and tell those parents, your kid has what it takes. Your kid has got it. He needs to forego college and just come play for us. We'll pay him this money. And they look at those parents and they say, I know, but they don't. They don't know. It's just potential. It could be, right? They have a desire to sign that kid because it could be, and $600,000 or $1 million is nothing to these large organizations.
Yeah.
But I think that we do the same thing with people in our lives. We look at partners, we look at others. You may think you know, but you don't know. Just like a scout doesn't know that there's a Hall of Famer sitting across the table from him whenever he's 19 years old. You don't know that this person is going to be this amazing man or woman that you think they are. The best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. What do the patterns say? That's the best thing you can use.
Yeah.
When you talk about potential, everyone's got potential. You know, I could have been an astronaut, but I wasn't. I had like a 1.7 GPA when I graduated school, you know, but I had just technically the potential was still there.
Right.
There are crazy success stories of people that have overcome, insurmountable odds. But they're so rare. Is that really what you're going to hang everything on?
Right.
You're not a sports team with deep pockets that can do this, 10, 15 times a year.
Yeah.
This is your one life. This is it.
Yeah.
And you're going to hang it all on potential? Careful with that. Repeated broken promises of recovery followed by a relapse is a sign that you are unknowingly a hostage in a situation.
Yep.
When someone's serious about recovery, they'll get serious about recovery.
Yeah. They're going to go all in.
They'll go all in when they want to go all in for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. If you find yourself isolated from friends, family, other support networks, this is very common as well. You very well could be a hostage in a relationship. And I think that there are probably more of these that you could come up with, any number of them, but you'll know what they feel like. If you've ever been put into a situation where you felt like you were trapped, underneath all that is likely a red flag that you are a hostage in some way.
Yeah.
that you have been put in the situation where you don't have a whole lot, or it doesn't feel like you have a whole lot of choices. It doesn't feel like it anyway. So let's talk about the importance of support systems and why support systems are so important. Things like TUFO.
Yep.
So having a support system, other people that are going through this, you're going to have it's not just an echo chamber where everyone, well, in some ways it is, because you're going to put something out there and other people are going to say, oh my God, me too. I'm going through the exact same thing. Yours does this. I thought it was just mine.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be able to decipher that all this shit's the same. Like all these tactics are the same.
Yep.
And when you're surrounded by other people going through the same thing, it's laughable to some degree. I mean, tongue in cheek laughable, not actually funny,
right,
but laughable in a way that's like, holy shit.
It helps you regain trust in your own instincts again whenever you are being validated by your experiences with other people and they're doing the same thing.
Exactly.
Because then you'll realize, oh my God, I'm not crazy.
When
I'm
you
going
have
through the same shit.
Outside set of eyes or ears that can see what's going on, and someone that's been there before and can offer advice about, hey, I've been there. I know what that's like. Here's what I did. Here's what I went through. It's really helpful. It will shine light on your situation in ways that you are not able to because you're too enmeshed in it.
Exactly.
So it's really important to have a support network.
Right.
Sometimes you just need to vent too, and that's important. Sometimes you just need an ear. Sometimes you just need someone to tell you that it's going to be okay.
Right.
You get that through support networks. If you're isolated in this, it can be very scary, especially if you've got someone who is abusive or someone who could be hinting at self-harm. Now, there are domestic violence hotlines, there are counseling services, there are support groups, there are emergency lines that you can reach out to get you help in those situations. And we both implore you to do that.
Yes.
If you're in that situation, do not mess around, make the call.
Yeah.
Just make the call. And for your own personal well-being, we've got TUFO. We've talked about the importance of counseling and therapy and professional intervention. There are resources, y'all. There is a way out. There is a way to help. And we've talked about some degree developing an exit plan.
Yeah.
So like you've always said, like, I've always had an exit plan.
Yeah. I think that in any healthy relationship, even in healthy relationships, it's important to be okay without the other person. It's okay. You need to be able to get out if you need to get out. And that's just important. Like I've had an exit plan for a long time. If you relapse or if something happens to us, like it's just, I just think that it's not a bad thing to have, no matter what situation you're in, healthy or not healthy.
It just feels morbid. And I think for a lot of people, it forces them to look at a reality that they just really don't want to look at. If they have an exit plan, it's almost like the first step in leaving. Well, that's not necessarily true. It's almost like, okay, listen, like we all buy life insurance without a second thought.
Yeah.
Right? Like I will die at some point, and if I die before the kids are grown, like I need to know, and you need to know that there's going to be some money there because shit costs money.
Right.
Kids got to go to college. You're going to have expenses. You're going to have to pick up extra work, and it's going to help to have funds there. It's like an exit plan, right? Insurance is kind of a form of that. So why wouldn't you look at your relationship in your life and say, if shit hit the fan tomorrow, like, what would I do? You don't have to write it out, but start giving it some thought. Start considering what it would look like if you had to, right? I'm not saying everyone needs to leave. That's not the reality.
No, that's not what it means.
But it's just some zero number of people will have to. And I think we all have to consider, like, if I was actually, my next newsletter, I was writing about infidelity. And like, we've been together for 23 years. We've both been loyal. We've both been faithful to each other. But I've had the thought, like, what would I do if she cheated on me? Like, what would I do? For me, that's a non-negotiable.
Right.
And I'll talk about, if subscribe to the newsletter, you can read all about this. I've got a lot of thoughts on it. But in that moment of thinking about it, I would have some sort of an exit plan. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that, man. I would have to go find an apartment and like figure out what life looked like. I would have to have funds set aside, a savings account. There have to be some practical application of things you would need to do, right?
Yeah.
So you might have to get another job, whatever it might be, to have an exit plan. And it's never more important than if this is immediate and it's part of your day-to-day life where you've got someone that's putting you in a position where you feel like you're being held hostage or you're being threatened or any number of things that make you feel like you have no way out.
Yeah.
You can develop an exit plan. And also, if you are someone who's been through this, if you have developed an exit plan, if you have left a relationship, we would love to hear your story. And I mean, we would love to hear your story on the podcast. We don't have a ton of guests, but that's just out of the fact that I haven't set up our new mixer the way I should have. I'm staring at it across the room over there. But we plan on
We plan on having guests.
plenty
We've
of guests.
talked about
and
it
I
a
want
lot.
to hear stories about people that have done this and what they actually look like. So if you are someone that's been through this, shoot us an email. It's info@twofocouple.com and let us know. Even if you know someone who might be interested, we would love to talk to you and find out if your story would make a good, a good story for the show, for all the listeners.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool to have on, because I would love to hear it from someone who's actually done it, who's had to regain financial independence, who had to, perhaps open a separate bank account or secure a job or have like a go bag, some way to get out.
Right.
So I would love to hear from that. But I think that's all we've got here.
Yeah.
I think it's all we've got. I don't think it's like a super complicated topic, but I think it's something that a lot of people may be part of without even realizing it.
Yeah.
Because if there's anything I know about wheelies, is that they're incredibly smart, but empathetic people. And I don't mean that disrespectfully in any way. I love your empathy. I just know that sometimes people will take advantage of your empathy.
Yeah.
And you may not see it, but I've seen this before. Paige has seen this before. You can spend some time in the community and see where other people are doing this. Someone saying that their recovery is your responsibility is false. That's incorrect. It's cool to have support, but it's not essential. It's not. And if you've been through enough, you've been through enough. You know what that feels like. You know what that looks like. If you're holding on because you're afraid of what they may do to themselves or for what they may do just in general, like if I leave, they're just going to spiral downhill.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
No.
It's not your fault. I know it feels that way. And sometimes an event like that can be a catalyst for an addict to go off the rails. But is that your fault that they did that when all you were really doing was just barely holding this thing together with like super glue?
Yeah.
Like it was barely being held together. And you're telling me that one event is what sent them out? Well, who's to say that losing their job wouldn't have done that?
Exactly.
Or who's to say that some kind of legal issue, like getting sued or something like that, wouldn't have done that? If it's not one thing, it's going to be another.
Yep.
Addiction is progressive in nature. It gets worse over time, not better, until we make the decision as people who suffer from addiction to arrest that in some way and take responsibility for our recovery and for our growth. I'll be damned before I let anyone in addiction blame their spouse or their friends or their bosses or anyone else in their life for their use, because we both know that that's not true. It's rather convenient, but it's not true. It's just not.
Yep.
So you are not alone. There is a way out. No one deserves to feel trapped or manipulated. You are worth more than that. We love you, and we can't wait to see you grow. We can't. So I think that's all we've got.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, until next time, I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.